You have to record this so you can review your notes, or
No, I have to turn it
oh, great.
in. Okay, we're gonna go to question number five. Um, if you ever had to do it all over, what would you do differently? Like, would you go to a different school or a different, like, would you move anywhere or anything like that?
I think I would not have started out chemical engineering at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Then I probably would have kept my Hope Scholarship, um, and been in significantly less student loan debt. Um, and other than that, mm, there's very few regrets I have. There were a couple opportunities I had early on that I thought were missed opportunities. Um, I was really aggressive about it. From like a pricing standpoint, I knew I was. It was at like that in between stage where I knew how good I was, but not enough people knew how good I was yet.
Yeah.
Um, to where it was really aggressive for me to try and price myself that way. Um, there
Yeah.
was a band that was up and coming at the time, and they were making some headway. I had interned and assistant engineered on their record back at the studio I interned at, and they were getting like traction. They were consistently in like CMT's Hot 100, um, and they were making moves. And they asked if I would record their live album, but it was like up in Charleston or something, and like at the time I was still like at the so it would have been, like 8 hours and like having to lug all that gear up there and everything. And I like just priced it super aggressively. Because I was like, look, I feel like you guys, it was one of those things where it's like, I feel like you guys are going places so you can probably afford it. And
Right.
if you're going to cheap out, really worth me doing this up there. And at the time, I thought that was kind of a dropped opportunity. It turned out to not be, because they haven't really done much since.
Right.
Um,
What
and I'm
band was
still,
it?
say what?
What band was it?
Connor Christian and Southern Gothic,
Oh yeah.
uh, old CCSG. I still love their stuff. I'm still in touch with those guys. I've had their fiddle slash banjo player play on a bunch of stuff that I've recorded. Um, it's just one of those things where, like, at the time, I was like, man, like, could that have been like my opportunity? And then I was like, nah, man, like, it's all good. Like,
Yeah.
probably saved myself a lot of headache by not doing that.
It's
So
lucky.
yeah,
It's a little lucky for you on your part though. Because like imagine like I'm not trying to like say like oh you could have done the wrong thing, but like imagine if they had blown up. That would have been crazy.
I mean, but I mean, those are things that could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I've been, I feel like I've been relatively lucky in that that hasn't happened to me. Also, for the most part, like I think part of it might just be my personality, where it's like I don't naturally attract the kind of person I think that would uh, make something like super mediocre. But
Right.
there haven't been very many times that I've like actually turned something down. There haven't been many things that were brought to me, and I was just like, nah, dude, like your songs, I don't feel comfortable. Like they're not in a good spot. Like they need a lot of work. Or like you as a singer, just like I don't know if you're gonna hold up in the studio. I just haven't been in that situation very much to where I felt like I needed to turn something down for my sake. Um, and so like almost, I feel like a lot of opportunities I've been afforded, I've taken. Um, and the very few that I haven't, I mean, whatever. Like nothing's really come out of it. Like I haven't looked back and been like, oh man, like I I could have made it, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean that could happen to anybody, you know. If you're working in an office, one, one offhand comment to your boss, and you're stuck in, middle management for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It could happen to anybody. So I don't really look at it as any different.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, I mean, coming from me, it's not like you should stress about it. I think like you said, you're really like you're doing your thing. Like of course it's not technically your thing, but it's like you know what's best for yourself is kind of what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say. It's good.
and in a way, it is kind of my thing. Is like I've got a guy who wants to do an album with me now, and like he wasn't a guy I knew before. He knew somebody else who recommended him to me, and one of the first conversations I had with him, I was like, "Look, I'm going to be very upfront with you. Like I heard your demos, and I think they're good. I think they're in a good spot to start. But I have some notes, and like at the end of the day, it's not just my name going on it for hitting the buttons and recording and mixing it, but for producing it as well. And there are some things we need to talk about. I don't know. That's again, that goes back to my personality, where I'm very. Some people would say like cocky, but like honest, like I'm just very sure of myself. Um, like um, I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong, but at the same time, like 99% of the time, I know I'm right. Um, and if I am wrong, I will tell you. But you know, in those moments that I'm making that decision, and I feel like that's something that you have to have. You have to have some amount of conviction, doing this job. Um, whether that's from like an art direction standpoint, or like if you think about it from like a live perspective, like when you're playing in church, like a music director standpoint, you can't sit there and waffle and be like, that guitar part's like, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, it's either it's good or it's bad.
And I think
And from a technical point, from when you're mixing, especially when you're mixing live, front of house, like when you guys are up there, say you're doing 9 o'clock worship, you do 9 o'clock worship one time. You don't get 4 takes to get it right. I don't get 4 takes to get it right. So I have to be very sure and very convicted that what I'm doing is right. Um, and so I don't know. I think my personality lends itself to that.
and if not, then like you're just wasting both of your guys' time, you know, both the performer and
Yeah,
your time. I think
yeah,
that's what people really want. They want that direct response, and that's what I appreciate. Like having worked with you, that's what I appreciate because it's really like it's helped me grow as a musician and as a performer for sure. Your
yeah.
advice, little it may be, you know. I'm just kidding.
The way I've had it put to me is I may not. As somebody once told me, I may not always enjoy the way you say it, but at the end of the day, I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
And if that's how most people feel about it, then I feel pretty okay about it.
it's some good
Um,
stuff. Cause like you don't mean it like in a bad light. You're just trying to get the thing done, which is good.
yeah, but at the same time, and this comes from kind of the artistic side of doing what I do, is just like kind of understanding personalities too,
Yeah.
um, or like someone's maturity level. Um, like there are people we have at Big Kids who are your age who I would never talk to and treat the way that I treat you. I would never be as forward with them because they're not at the same like maturity level to handle that. And obviously, I can't talk to a 12-year-old who's been singing for 2 years the same way that I would talk to, a 30-year-old worship leader. Um, and the same thing goes in the studio. If I have a singer in there on the mic, maybe I can just get on the mic after a take and say, hey, that sucks. Do it again.
Yeah.
Can you do better? I've gotten on there before and I've hit the button. I've said, hey, let's do that again, but do it good this time. There are people you can do that with, and there are people that you cannot. And it's again, it's that snap decision. It's in that, especially with people you haven't worked with before. It's um, can I just tell them point blank it's bad so that we can cut to the point and get the work done? Or is this somebody that I'm going to have to, massage a little bit and, maybe it's their first time in the studio. Maybe I need to, make them feel a little more comfortable first. Maybe it's bad because they're uncomfortable, again, these are all just like snap judgments and like decision making and reads you have to have on people. Which is weird because I always joke that I'm not a people person or that I hate people or whatever. But like at the end of the day, like I do what I do because I love people. You know,
Yeah.
never tell anybody at church.
All right, so question, did or do you have like a mentor or inspiration?
Ooh,
4 minutes, by
um,
the way. Oh, I'm just
so for
kidding.
a long time, for a long time, my mentor was John Berglovich, who was my boss at the studio I interned at. He taught me a lot. Um, Before that, it was Bo Burchell, who was the guitarist for Seosin.
Yeah.
Um, they used to have a message board, and when I was first starting out, back in high school, when my parents bought me my little recording setup, um, this is back before any technology you're familiar with, but we'd sit on there till on the message boards, and Bo would talk to us about recording and about playing guitar, and if I had some questions, I could hop on Instant Messenger and just hey Bo, what's up, man? This is before they got big and they still did things like that. And so, he taught me a lot of the basics. Um, but the meat and bones, and especially from like from a managing people side, like from managing artists in the studio, and that's extended, of course, to front of house and like managing people live as well. From a managing people perspective and from a covering my butt perspective in terms of contracts and payments and stuff like that, John was a huge mentor for me. Um, there's a lot that I do today that is all from that man. Outside, like since then, like he and I stayed in contact for a few, and like we still talk like once a year. Like we hit each other up, or he'll text me, I'll text him. But it's like once a year now. Like it's been almost a decade since I worked there, and but like I guess like in terms of inspiration, somebody I look up to is Chris Lord-Alge.
Yeah.
I just the way he like, especially growing up, like his heyday was definitely when I was growing up, right? Like, talking about like all those like My Chemical Romance albums, Green Day albums, like especially the big ones, American Idiot, Welcome to the Black Parade. A lot of that stuff was all mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. Like the seminal records of like my high school years. When I was your age, this is what I was listening to. This is what I still listen to, even though I'm 10 years older now, right? And part of it's the music, obviously, but the way he communicated it, right? Like what he did from a mixing perspective to make me feel the way I felt when I listened to that is what I hope to achieve every time. I touch something for somebody. Like that first moment I heard the first chorus of Welcome to the Black Parade, and I felt it. I felt that right here.
Yeah, bro.
I was like, dude, this slaps. And because I was like, this gets me right in the feels, dude. This
Yeah.
is epic.
All right, hold up.
Wrong.
Okay, so really quickly, we got like 15 seconds, or not 15, but do you have any recommendations for me?
In terms of what?
Just in terms of like my career, my future.
I don't. I don't know. I don't know what you do.
I don't know really either. This is something I'm interested in though.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in doing this, I would just say keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're playing now, you're getting to know people in the industry, like, you're getting you've met me on the technical side.